It's always, if you can wish you was someplace else, you good. Where's Swarm at?
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We're in between sessions, but I'm doing pretty good. I hope everybody else is too.
Yeah, I like your eyeglasses. Nice.
Thank you. I needed them. Everyone, I needed them today very badly.
I used to be in the optical business, so I spent 25 years as an optician. So I always admire eyeglasses. Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
everyone.
Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Hunter.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Good to be here.
Yes, ma'am. That's true. Oh, yeah.
We're watching as folks join. Want to make sure before we get started, we have give folks more time to get on. Good morning. Good morning for those who've joined just recently. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I know it says Nia Franco in the box, but I am sharing Nia's laptop this morning. We were at NACOL, of course. So we are both present right here. So if you need either one of us, if you need me, I know you don't see my name, but I'm always watching. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Just checking in again to say that we need to make sure that we have quorum. So we're gonna just give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. Okay, good morning. Officer Mullins, you all co-chairs and commission, he's trying to join now, so just running a couple minutes behind. Oh, I see. Okay. He has joined. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. Please note that you're able to provide public comment. Please register by sending an email to ocpc@seattle.gov with public comment in the subject line. We will also allow community members attending by phone to register for public comment by voice as well. For those wishing to do so at the beginning of the public comment period, when prompted, please unmute yourself and say your name to register. Speakers must be registered in order to be recognized by the chair. If you are unable to attend the remote meeting, please submit written comments to the Community Police Commission again at ocpc@seattle.gov. The Seattle Community Police Commission acknowledges that we are on the traditional land of the Coast Salish people, including the Muckleshoot, Suquamish, and Duwamish people, past and present. With humility, we recognize how much we benefit from living on their land and water. The Seattle Community Police Commission honors and lifts up these tribes. We hope that this acknowledgement will encourage authentic relationships with urban Native people and all Coast Salish tribes. And then we'll go ahead and take attendance.
Thanks, Brandy. Good morning, everyone. Taking attendance, Scott Batchelor still on leave. Prachi Dave. Suzette Dickerson.
Present.
Good morning.
Morning.
Colleen Echohawk.
Recording in progress.
Austin Field.
I'm present.
Good morning. Reverend Patricia Hunter.
Present.
Good morning.
Morning.
Tasha Johnson.
Good morning, I'm here.
Hi, Tasha. Esther Lucero.
Present.
Hi, Esther. Asha Mohammed. Officer Mark Mullins.
Present.
Good morning. Erica Newman.
She's trying to get on.
Okay, thanks. Elena Santian. Elena, I think I saw you.
Hear you, but I'm here, so I'm trying to resolve my audio.
I can hear you now. Good morning. Joseph Saya. Catherine Seibel here. Douglas Wagner.
Present.
Good morning. Reverend Harriet Walden.
Here.
Good morning.
Morning.
And LaJaya Washington. Okay. Great, thank you all for being here. Moving on to our next item, it's time to review the agenda and approve. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion to approve the agenda that was circulated?
I move to accept the agenda as distributed.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, the agenda as circulated has been approved. And now it's time to review the draft minutes. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to approve the draft minutes that were circulated?
I will also move that the minutes be approved as circulated.
Great. Is there a second?
I will second.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Any abstentions? Okay, the draft minutes has been approved as circulated. Next item, action items for review are the CPC bylaws. So the revised CPC bylaws and accompanying resolution were circulated in today's materials. These revisions came from commissioners reaching out and sharing revisions with ED Grant, and a huge thank you to ED Grant, Reverend Walden, and Esther for reviewing the revisions and consolidating them into the revised copy that were in the materials today. So this action item is going to be addressed in our next agenda item. So moving right along to the Cpc Bylon Revision. Coming here, is there a motion to approve the revised bylaws and resolution as was circulated? Once the bylaws and resolution are approved, the co-chairs will sign, and then the bylaws and resolution will go on to legal for next steps. And perhaps to make a motion to take a vote to approve the bylaws and resolution, should we do that as a separate vote or can we do it together?
Catherine, we need at least, I believe, 2 more commissioners to join the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And it looks like Erica's raised their hand.
Okay. Eric, okay. Erica, would you like to put? Oh, Teresa, I see your hand is raised.
Thank you, Chair Bible. I just wanted to point out that when you do have enough commissioners to take this vote, you'll need 2/3 approval in order to pass the resolutions to amend the bylaws. And that's 2/3 of the full membership, not just 2/3 of who's here today.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
And how many commissioners is that that we need, Teresa?
So
I'm not sure. I believe Brandy and staff were running the numbers on that.
Okay.
We need 2 more people to join Reverend Walden.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, everyone. This is Esther. Is there a way that we can move this agenda item to a little bit later in the agenda so that we can wait for more commissioners to join and give the team an opportunity to reach out to folks to have them join?
Absolutely, Esther. And the only thing I would add to that is if we move it, if everyone can commit to staying on for the full meeting so we don't lose commissioners as the meeting goes on. But absolutely.
I still have a hard stop at 11.
I have a hard stop as well. Could we perhaps move this agenda item following public comment?
Yes, and to give me time to reach out to commissioners. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Would someone like to make a motion to amend the agenda to move this item to below public comment?
This is Esther. I'll make a motion to move this agenda item to following public comment.
Mrs. Guzette, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so we will now move into the public comment agenda item and review the bylaw revision after that. So it is now time to move into public comment. Public comment is welcomed by the CPC. Individual speakers will be provided up to 2 minutes to comment about items on the meeting agenda. And again, the CPC bylaws limit public comment to only items on the agenda. Emily, could you please start public comment?
Yes, of course. Before we move into folks who have registered through email, is there anyone who'd like to register by voice? Okay, so we have one person registered for public comment, and that is Dr. Howard Gale. Dr. Gale, I'm going to unmute you now. Hold on. Okay, and let me pull up our timer. Okay, Dr. Gale, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, whenever you're ready.
Sure. Good morning. At the last CPC meeting, Director Grant, responding to facts stated in public comment concerning the CPC denying a journalist documents that were voted on in a public meeting, stated that the CPC follows, quote, directions of the city that is a process that we are required to do, and that, quote, the letters actually, as we post all letters, reports, and documentation that is reviewed within these meetings on the website, unquote. These statements are both deflections and false. As of this morning, only one of the 2 letters requested by the journalists are on the website, and that one letter was posted only after they obtained it by other means. Letters that remain missing include the Terry Caver letter, the Marr letter regarding training, the Marr op-ed, the Sunset Electric letter, the letter on police practices that had been hotly debated, and other documents. Director Grant then went on to claim concerning the CPC failures at transparency and honesty, quote, that is not anything in my time and being here and even before I came to the commission that we have ever been accused of, unquote. Well, 13 months ago, this commission was faced with voting on a CPC representative to police labor negotiations that was pre-selected by then interim Director Grant, the 3 co-chairs at the time, and Mayor Durkin. And I'll note it was an appointee of Mayor Durkin to the commission that Mayor Durkin selected. As noted by a commissioner at the time, quote, this is business as usual for the commission. For the over 7 years I have attended CPC meetings, I have witnessed the profound lack of transparency and the disrespect for the community that has only gotten worse and more ingrained. Last night at the community engagement meeting, members of the community were attacked, bullied, and belittled for their perceived or real demographic characteristics by a commissioner. It is because of this long history of undemocratic practices, lack of transparency, and disregard for the community and reflexive defensive attacks that no one in the community is actually going to any of these meetings. And I'd remind you that the OIG whistleblower, and there are 2, are actually members of the community that have been deeply disrespected.
Okay, and that is all that we have registered for public comment.
Thanks, Emily. The next item is discussion of public comment. Would staff or commissioners like to respond to the public comment we heard today?
Yeah, I step away from the chair. And I will say last night, I did step away from the chair. I stepped away and I put my mother's police accountability hat on. It is permissive that I did not violate anything by doing that. But also, more importantly, I sometimes I stepped away from the chair to say that African American people can speak for ourselves sometimes, and I stand by that statement. And like I say, I did not do that as a commissioner. And I have a role in the community as the founder and the director of Mothers Police Accountability. That work is the reason.
Was it just me? I think Reverend Walden froze on my end, or everyone else? Okay.
Meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Walden. I think you might have cut out at the end. Would you like to repeat what you said?
Thank you. I said that I share the same attendance with Dr. Gale. And we both have I've been to all the meetings. I have only missed one meeting since 2013, just like he has. He's only missed one meeting since 2013.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a comment or point they would like to share?
Just to the issues with releasing CPC letters and documents publicly, because I know that's come up a few times. I know that we're having difficulty accessing our website and uploading things, I guess. But I'm just curious what the progress is on that, because I do agree that we definitely, and I know that Director Grant agrees, we need to make everything that we write and send public as quickly as possible. And if that's just as simple as like somebody tweeting it out or emailing it to the journalist who wants it, it seems like it'd be pretty easy for us to just actually just email all these documents to the journalist. And then I'm just curious, one, if we've done that, and two, if we've made progress on fixing the website issue so that we can more consistently upload these documents and prevent any kind of confusion or miscommunication.
Thanks, Austin. Yeah, I will definitely address that. I want to respectfully disagree to some level with Dr. Howard Gale's statements, but I will say this: anything that's in draft format, it's not required to be publicly released. We haven't voted on it. There's a process that the commission does whenever we are doing work, and any letters that we haven't posted, it's either in draft format or, not to mention, and I've said this in meetings that we've had, that we are short-staffed. We lost one of our communications people to an out-of-class assignment with council right now. And so my team is very small. We're doing the best that we can. And we did respond in the way that we were required to, like, again, by the city. So we are working hard to make sure that we get the website updated as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Brandy. Any other points for discussion before we move on to our next item? Okay, seeing none. Thank you all for sharing and for this discussion. And so now we'll move to the amended next item, which is the Cpc Bylaw Revision. I want to check and make sure my math is right. Do we have enough commissioners to move for a vote and to address this item?
We do not, Catherine.
Okay. Shall we again amend the agenda to move this item perhaps either after the Ethics Commission discussion or department updates?
I would think maybe the ethics discussion.
Okay, great.
Catherine, maybe it's a good idea for commissioners that have relationships with other commissioners, their phone number, to also text them. I've been texting people too, so maybe if we flood them, they'll show up.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for flagging that, Alina. That's a great idea. So if folks do have relationships, please do reach out so we can get everyone here.
Yes, we're just one commissioner short, but obviously we want as much participation as possible.
Great, thank you, Brandy. So with that, is there a motion to amend the agenda again to move the bylaw revisions after the Ethics Commission discussion?
I will move to move the discussion on the bylaws to after the ethics discussion.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh yeah, go ahead, Douglas.
Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, great. We will move to our next agenda item, the Ethics Commission discussion on the OIG investigation. And I see Wayne Barnett has joined us. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
thank you for joining us.
All right. Should I just start with a brief overview of what we do at the Ethics Commission?
Yeah, that would be great. Oh, sorry,
All right.
Director Grant.
Oh, no. I was going to say the same. And basically, Wayne, what we sent over, just kind of as an outline for things to discuss, that would be really great. Thank you.
All right. The Ethics Commission was created in 1992, really to deal with a couple things. First, elections, which is not what we're talking about today, but we make sure that all the expenditures made and contributions to candidates for city office are disclosed in a timely fashion. That's what we do on the elections front. On the ethics front, we have really just three main areas of focus. One, we make sure that conflicts of interest are not polluting city decisions. No immediate family members, no roommates, no businesses or nonprofits in which one is an director or an employee. Any of those people or things have an interest in a matter before your commission or yourself, you cannot participate in that matter. The other thing is misuse of position. That's where someone not only shouldn't be touching something, but uses their position to advance a private interest. So that's another serious issue we deal with. And the third issue under ethics is gifts. You know, if anybody is accepting a gift from someone who's trying to influence a city decision with that gift, that is not improper. So the way we work is that I, as the executive director, have the first cut at these things, and I either charge somebody or settle with them or dismiss. And then the commission oversees me, an independent commission, 7 members, 3 appointed by the mayor, 3 appointed by the council, 1 appointed by the other 6. They have the authority to either approve or disapprove of a settlement I enter. And if it goes to a hearing, they actually act as judges. So that's how that would work. And a dismissal, the complainant always has the right to appeal a dismissal to the commission saying, you know, I was not given my day in court. So, and then the commission hears that appeal. So that's what we do. And on the whistleblower front, that's another area we have issue authority. We take complaints from city employees and then we protect them. That's, you know, it's essentially, it's the whistleblower protection code. It's not the whistleblower code, it's the whistleblower protection code. So we can take complaints about gross waste of public money, misuse of authority, violations of law. And then our job is to make sure that the complainant is not retaliated against for doing those, or that they have a recourse if they are retaliated against. So that's essentially what we do with the Ethics Commission. This complaint came to me in August, and I read it, and to me it was about, you know, failure to provide independent oversight of OPA. That's a very serious issue, but it's not something that would violate the ethics code if there is not a oversight of the OPA in accordance with law. The other thing was public disclosure, you know, not keeping minutes, other kinds of issues there. And that also does not violate the ethics code. So I dismissed it and invited the complainant to let me know if she had any thoughts, and did not hear back. So that was the complaint. So happy to answer any questions about this.
So where would be the proper venue for somebody to pursue a concern like this through official channels? If it's not the ethics committee.
I don't really know. I mean, I just said, you know, it's not me. So whether somebody would have to go to council or to HRIU, that's, you know, I don't really know where to send somebody. I just say it's not me, so.
But if your office is being held out as the kind of landing point for whistleblowers, shouldn't you be able to help that whistleblower navigate the system, even in the event that it's not something that you believe falls under your jurisdiction? I mean, it seems like if we're gonna invite whistleblowers to submit a complaint to you and then just send them on their way, that doesn't really sound like protection to me.
Right. I would say, and this is, I don't want to say anything that actually is not kind to somebody, but the complaint that came in to me was not a whistleblower complaint. Again, whistleblower complaints are about, I'm a city employee, this is something I know, and I don't want to be retaliated against for disclosing it. This complaint came to us with the stated in the letter, I'm resigning my position. So that was, I don't see, she was not seeking protection for her complaint. So I did not view it as a whistleblower complaint.
But let's say that somebody who still works at OIG does feel like OIG isn't meeting its legal obligation to provide effective oversight, and does want to come forward and does want to be protected from retaliation. Would that still be something that shouldn't come to you?
I would say that would have to go to council. If you believe the office is not doing what it was created to do, that's about their failure to complete their legislative mission. So I would have to send them to council, and the council president or the council member was included on the letter. So,
but what about the retaliation fear?
The retaliation, we would try to protect them. Yes.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for coming. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Done everybody talk at once?
Is this something we can to Ms. Alina, just based on and Ranger, based on Austin comments, I'm kind of curious about that too. Like just having, I've worked in places before where I was like, I really don't feel safe going to HR because when I've gone to HR in the past, I've been gaslit, or things like that's not what happened to you, or this person's going to take a class and they said they wouldn't do it anymore, or like whatever the excuse is. And I'm trying to, I'm thinking about like, if someone does bring a complaint, even if that is, even if it does have the city council member on it, is there any kind of follow-up that we can brainstorm here to where those folks know, like, if I do bring, a complaint, that there will actually be action taken on it?
That's a great question, Alina. I don't really know that there is a way to guarantee that action will be taken on a complaint. If you're alleging that CPC or that the OPA is not doing its job, or the OIG isn't doing its job, that really goes to the heart of legislative action. So I think what you're alleging is, these offices you've created, council, are not working as they should. So if council takes that and believes it fits in their legislative priorities, they can take action. If they don't, I don't know that there's a way to guarantee that they'll see action.
Is there a way that your office, Mr. Barnett, would sign off on something or pass up maybe that doesn't fall under your purview as like a whistleblower complaint, still to have your name on it would probably bring some attention to the council? Is that something that your office is willing to do with people that file complaints that maybe your office doesn't handle?
That's an interesting question. Like I said, there was a council member included on the letter, so I don't know what value it would have added for us to send it to council. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Reverend Walden, I see your hand is up.
Good morning.
Good
Is
morning.
there any time that that HR gets involved? I mean, if the employee is still an employee, or is there any time that HR gets involved with this process?
Yes, there is an HR investigative unit. They were also included on the letter, and had the complainant been someone who was continuing in city service, I believe HR would have been there to investigate.
Okay. So it is available if the individual was still an employee, then it would be another set of circumstances. I mean, some more action that would be taking place on the city side, because the person would still be an employee.
Yes, it's my understanding that's the case.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, have you ever thought about, I mean, your office, has there been any brainstorming about how you might be able, your office might be able to include going forward, expanding what you do, and how, since this system here is new to the city government, I mean, it's a hybrid, and with paid staff and also with commissioners. So it's been around since 2013. So do you find that it might be something to look at, since this is a new part of a police accountability system here in Seattle, that your office might be looking at how you might be able to expand what your roles are, if you went to the council and talked about that?
We did expand the Whistleblower Protection Code a couple of years ago. I think maybe 2013 or so. It used to be you were not protected for reporting inside your chain of command. Now that is protected activity as well. Also added a mechanism for retaliation to be adjudicated by the commission and not by the mayor. So there was a revamp within my tenure. So I don't know that there's anything we saw at that time that was still left to do.
Yeah, but that was before this was all set up. So it might be something down the road that you might think of the office. I mean, so since all this is brand new to us, I mean,
right.
Right. It's a brand new area,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, Officer Mullins, I see you have a question.
Yes, my question is this available to police officers?
It is. The Whistleblower Protection Code is. The Elections Code is a little more complicated, but yes, whistleblower protection is available to police officers.
Okay, so I will tell you that most police officers don't know about your office.
Right.
Don't know about your department. And there are some officers who sorely need to talk to you.
Okay.
Not only that, EEOC doesn't protect officers or make sure that they're covered and protected. So there's nowhere they can go.
Right.
And when you decide that you want to complain in the police department, sometimes you're left out in the cold.
Okay.
That cold can be deadly sometimes.
Right.
Okay. Just so you know, roll call would be nice for someone to show up at roll calls so that the information gets out to officers, so that if they need you, they can get in contact with you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, officer.
Wayne, so does your office have investigative authority? Like, can you investigate things, investigate complaints?
Yes, we can. Most recently, we disclosed the mayor's deletion or the destruction of her text. So that was an investigation done by our office. So yes, we do investigate. We do have subpoena authority. So yes.
Thank you. And I'm wondering, just so we can kind of wrap our heads around it, or speaking for myself, so I can wrap my head around it. Could you walk us through like what would a whistleblower complaint that like falls under your purview, like how might that go? What would that kind of look like, just speaking in general terms?
Yes. So let me just take the text case, because that's an actual case, so I can wrap my brain around it. In that case, the mayor's public disclosure officer contacted us with a complaint that she was, had this knowledge of things that were not going well there and wanted to lodge that complaint with our office. So she lodged that, and then we investigated and concluded that there was in fact an improper governmental action, that the mayor's office was violating the law in its treatment of public records, public disclosure requests. And then we also protect her. She did end up leaving the city, and she now has a private right of action for whistleblower retaliation, which she is pursuing. So that's how it would go. Yeah, but like I said, at the start, what you're talking about is the investigation. We took the complaint and then investigated it, talked to the mayor's legal counsel, just tried to understand what the issue was, and then issued our findings.
And the investigation didn't happen in the case of the OIG complaint because the employee had already resigned and was no longer.
Yeah, and plus, I don't think, as I read the complaint, I didn't see anything that was a violation of law or a gross waste of money, anything that was there for us to investigate. I mean, she did note that they were not taking minutes or doing other things to prevent public records from being created, but that's not a violation of the law as far as I know, so.
Isn't that pretty similar to the mayor's text issue?
No, that was the destruction of records and the concealment of that fact from Public Records Act requesters.
So you can just not create the records in the first place, but if you do create the records and destroy them, then you violate the law.
Yes.
So
yes.
Doesn't that seem like kind of an enormous loophole?
No, it doesn't. I think, frankly, in public life, there are many times where we have meetings where we might otherwise send an email just because, not everything is appropriate for public disclosure. So
just keep it,
Right.
make sure that you do all your business face to face, and then you'll never have to tell the public about anything you do.
Exactly. I hate to say it, Austin, but that is, if we were to have to investigate like people not creating records, that would be a tremendous responsibility, and we would need a lot of people to do that. So
Even if they have an affirmative legal obligation to
Yes.
keep records.
Yes. I mean, we'd be proving a negative. That would be very difficult. So,
But isn't the issue just like, hey, you had a meeting, you're required to keep minutes, you didn't keep minutes, you violated the requirement.
Yeah, that could be something, but I would not investigate that. That would not be a violation of the law as I understand it. So,
gotcha.
Hi, this is Esther. What I think I'm consistently hearing is that people have a little understanding of what constitutes a whistleblower complaint and what is like a valid complaint versus just disgruntled employee experience. So that to me is something that I think we should have a fact sheet, right? That would be really helpful for both the public and for this commission.
yeah, and we do have a little booklet which does explain the whistleblower protection code. I'd be happy to send it to you. We do hand it out at meetings, and it's also distributed to employees annually. So
sure, I think that's something that the commission should commit to reviewing, so that we understand that, so that we're not wasting time with questions that are just really irrelevant.
Okay, I'd be happy to send that to you. I'll send it to Brandy, if that's okay.
And I can administer it. I'll send it out. Yes.
Brandy, thank you for sending that out. And I'd love to learn more. And also, I think that the questions that Austin is bringing up are very concerning based on the responses that are happening. And I'm not putting that all on you, Wayne, but I think that there's a bigger issue of concern, I think, for me, based on like the last exchange that I just heard.
Right.
I don't know how to address that, but I'm grateful for the questions that Austin is asking, that is able to articulate better than I can this morning. But I'm having the same concern. So I'm glad that this is a conversation that we're having.
Are there any other questions from commissioners or staff?
Maybe this is just something we can talk about again another time. I feel like there's some sort of action we should be taking based on the information that we have, and I'm not sure what that is. But I feel like this is like a ongoing conversation that we should have as a commission. That makes me uncomfortable just as a member of the public too, to know that meetings can happen, there can be no record, and that's fine. So I don't know, this is probably bigger than just our commission, but I think it would be worth talking about later.
Yeah, thank you for raising. I think this could possibly be something that we put on the agenda again in an upcoming meeting, or are there other ideas for how to ensure that we continue to address this and discuss further?
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to probably like look at the 2017 accountability ordinance and kind of look for accountability mechanisms between the three organizations in the ordinance. Because I don't know what might exist, but that's like one thing this conversation is making me think about is like, how are the three organizations supposed to kind of have oversight of one another? You know, OIG certifies or doesn't certify OPA investigation, but like, is there a specific role within the ordinance for CPC or OPA to be doing kind of similar stuff with OIG, and for OIG and OPA to be doing that of CPC? So, or does that just all fall to council, the city council, for them to kind of take action on? But I do think that's an important point, and it's just that's what's coming up for me. So I think it's a good idea, Lena, if we, you know, leave this on the agenda for a future discussion about kind of what next steps could be.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Douglas.
I
And
agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, that sounds good. Then let's plan to have this as an item on the next meeting. Any other points or things to raise on this agenda item? Okay, thank you all for participating. Thank you, Mr. Barnett, for being here. We really appreciate your time and having this conversation with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Okay. So moving on to now the next agenda item, the Cpc Bylaw Revision. I believe we do have the 12 commissioners here, which is sufficient to take action on this item. Could someone please make sure that I am correct on that before we move forward?
You are correct, Catherine.
Okay, great, thank you. So as a reminder, we are reviewing the proposed revisions to the Cpc bylaws and the accompanying resolution. These were in today's meeting materials. The revisions to the bylaws came from commissioners, Edie, Grant, Reverend Walden, and Esther, all put in a ton of tremendous work to revise the proposed draft in front of you. So by making a motion to approve the bylaws and resolution today, the co-chairs will then go to sign it, and then it will move forward to legal for next steps. Are there any questions? Or is there a motion to approve the proposed bylaws and resolution as circulated? I know I asked two questions at once, so to avoid confusion, let's start. Is there any points for discussion or any clarifying questions that commissioners have? If there are none, would someone like to make a motion to approve both the revised bylaws and resolution as circulated?
Hi, this is Esther. I'd like to make a motion to approve the bylaws as circulated.
Thank you, Esther. Is there a second? Oh, I'm sorry. I see Teresa is raising her hand.
The motion would be to adopt the resolution.
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that?
The motion would be to adopt the resolution because the resolution is a document through which your bylaws are amended.
Thank you for clarifying that, Teresa. So is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So this is Esther, and I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Thank you, Esther. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the resolution has been approved as circulated. Thank you all so much for that vote. And I will now move on to legal. Okay, I will now pass it on to Co-Chair Douglas, if you'd like to take the next item.
Thanks, Catherine. So the next part of the agenda is department updates. So we're now ready for department updates. Is there anyone from City Council here with an update? I'm not seeing Newell. I will say that I attended the Public Safety Committee meeting yesterday, and Catherine and Legea were both reappointed unanimously by the committee. And so I think their reappointments will go to the full council now. So that's the only update I'm aware of. Anyone here from the mayor's office? All right. Anyone here with an update from the monitoring team? Maybe Rob.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
The monitoring team has been wholly absorbed in the assessments and the upcoming filing with the court and the community engagement sessions, which began last night, but will continue from January through March and possibly April. That's been like the sum total of virtually everything we've been doing lately.
Great. Thank you, Ron.
For those of you who weren't able to attend, the session last night was extremely educational. There were a lot of great exchange between the attendees and the speakers, and I personally got a lot out of it.
That's great. Yeah, we appreciate the monitoring team collaborating with us on to add a kind of community engagement feature to this work. So thank you. Is there anyone here from the DOJ?
Hi, everyone. This is Brittany Saraneo from the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm not seeing Matt on the call this morning, and I don't have anything to share today, so no updates.
Thank you. OIG?
Douglas, OIG and OPA, as well as the CPC staff, we're all in Tucson, so most of them are in sessions right now and they're presenting.
Got it. Makes sense. All right. Well, just checking. Is there anyone here from OPA? Sounds like probably not. All right. SPD. Is there a representative from SPD with an update? Okay. We'll move to the next section of the agenda, which is CPC updates. For co-chair updates, I don't think we have any updates to share today, but I'll give it a moment to see if Reverend Walden or Catherine have anything. Things shaking heads. All right. Executive Director updates.
Good morning again, everybody. Just have a couple updates regarding the joint brief sessions that we've been doing with the monitoring team. As Ron mentioned, we had Eric Pisconsi come out last night and do the crisis intervention presentation. We had community members out, and the monitor shared that we would be going through sections of the wrap-up assessment to the courts. So there will be about 3 sessions, January, February, and March, that will be coming out through the CPC. The agendas are pretty much outlined, where community members will have an opportunity not only to speak to the monitor, but also have the comparative either presentation or feedback specifically to use of force, supervision, and stops and detentions. And so we're really excited to be able to incorporate a feedback loop that not only shares information, that puts information out there, but also takes in feedback. So when this report goes before the judge, it will actually have input from the commission and from community members. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we are here in Tucson for the National Conference for Oversight Practitioners. We were able to kick off Monday's session and was able to speak about trauma and resiliency around this work and how important it is for community members to be involved, but to also talk about, as most of us know, how heavy this work is, not only for the people that are doing it, but for the people that are encountering unconstitutional policing. And so it's definitely been eye-opening to come in a new role. I come to NACO for the first time in 2019, and it totally changed my perspective as a commissioner for this work. And full circle, I'm coming back as the ED. So I'm really appreciative to represent Seattle and the Community Police Commission in that. And so other than that, I don't have too many more updates outside of that, but just wanted to let everyone know we were here and we're hoping to bring back some really valuable information and some connections. Thank you.
Just really quick, and thank you, Brandy. I really quick, I didn't have this in my notes, and then Austin, I'll go to you, but just really quick, I'm wondering, I'm wondering if we could just share an update on the next steps on the strategic planning. So, you know, I think so, and I'll just share what I think it is from my perspective, but I just want to like bring everyone in the loop on that. So we wrapped up our 6th strategic planning session, which was a huge accomplishment and testament to everyone who participated and showed up. And so I think I think they're working on the report now, right? Like they're taking what they heard from us in those 6 sessions, and then we'll share a draft report sometime in January. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. You also everything, the final conclusion session, the 6th workshop, checked in with. Thank you for bringing this up too, but checked in with Joy and Leilani to do a bit of a debrief, you all. And so, like Douglas was saying, they're going to compile all the input, all the feedback from the focus group, the surveys that they did, and then the workshops from the strategic planning work group that many of us were a part of. And there's going to be a final draft that will come to us all. And we thought that it would be helpful for the work group people, the folks that have really been in the trenches, to have an opportunity to see that draft first, and then will be brought to the full commission. So we're hoping that it'll be sometime in mid-January. We're looking at maybe like a January 11th or 13th date, but that's all being worked out so we can get some opportunities to send some availability to you all. So make sure you're looking for a calendar request for that. But yes, there's going to be a draft of everything shared with the committee members first. Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Austin, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just had a quick question as far as the monitoring team stuff goes. I attended one of the community engagement meetings a little while ago, and I know that some community folks expressed concern about the methodology used to calculate use of force statistics. And so I was just curious if we as a commission have or could get access to that methodology, just because it's something that I don't know very much about, and I'd be curious to see how those calculations are generated, and just, you know, providing some more transcript to folks, transparency to folks in the community who might just be concerned about that methodology. That would be something I'd be interested in taking a look at. I don't know what the mechanism is to ask for that.
Austin, I know Ron is on the call, but we can also reach out to Dr. Oftelli and make sure that that's an ask. I think it would be really great too, before then to ask, but definitely I want to say the next meeting is maybe January 8th. If we could ask that openly and outwardly, just for the record, to make sure that other folks, community folks, are getting to hear that too. I think that is a really valid point. But yes, I know Ron is on, but we can definitely do that. We can request that information.
Austin. Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
we hear you. We hear
We can hear you.
Austin, what Brandy said, those they're statistics derived from SPD data, but I'm sure that we can give you a full accounting of how the figures are arrived at, how they're calculated.
That'd be great, sir. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Great. So I think if there's no other questions on the ED updates, we can move to new CPC business. So the only thing I have under here is co-chair elections, which are coming up. And this is where Brandy can correct me if I'm likely wrong. But I believe that elections will be happening at the first meeting in January, which I think is on the 5th. Let's see. That looks right according to my calendar. So is that when we'll vote in a new slate, or is that when we'll announce, like folks will announce their intentions, or yeah, please correct me.
No worries. So Douglas, what typically happens is after this meeting, and it's so interesting, probably the last 2 meetings, this date has always fallen on the same day every year. So, well, actually it was December 16th last year, but an email will come out and be generated by myself that explains the process for self-electing yourself as a slate or a co-chair, putting forth your interest, and just kind of breaking down what the entire process is. And then in that first January meeting, you will express your interest in said meeting, kind of, give a spiel of, why you're interested, what you hope to accomplish or commitments or whatever. And then actually in that last meeting of January is when the vote itself will take place. So current co-chairs will stay in their role until the first meeting of February. And that's always been my understanding. Walden, did I miss anything?
Let me see. I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
The only other thing I would like to add is that I know we had a huge transition having co-chair step down. This is something that was kind of new for us, appointing and having interim co-chairs, but I just want to say, I want to thank the 3 of you all. This has been a really great opportunity. It's been a learning opportunity. And it's just been such a pleasure to work with you all. And I would have to say, the amount of work that has been able to be done and just be able to feel like I could do my work, it's just felt really, really good. And so I want to thank you all for the work that you all have done in that period of time. I felt like I've been with you all year. I wish I could have been. But whatever the outcome is, if you all decide to continue forward, or if not, I think it would be remiss of me not to thank you in this moment for the work that you all have done in these roles. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Grant. And I also want to thank my co-chairs and the commission at large. I've really appreciated everyone's work while being in this role. So thank you. And I do want to flag that I will not be putting my name forward for the next slate of co-chairs due to professional and personal obligations and some changes in my life. So I will not be able to continue in this role, but I've really been grateful to everyone during this time. So thank you. And I think one other thing I might add too is that it has been just hugely helpful to have 3 co-chairs. And I know this is something that has been included in the proposed amendments to the bylaws, but would also just strongly recommend another slate of 3, because I think it's been wonderful to have this team together. So thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. And yeah, want to thank the CPC and fellow co-chairs, and definitely Executive Director Grant as well. It's been great working with you folks. And okay, I think that's the only thing under new CPC business. So we can now move to work group updates. We'll start with the behavioral health work group.
Okay, so the behavioral health work group will not be meeting this month due to schedule and holiday conflicts, though our wonderful staff, Mia and Shailene, are still working on the editorial around the MAR and behavioral health work that the work group is doing. So that is forthcoming once that draft is finalized.
Thank you. Police practices.
Thank you. The Police Practices Work Group is looking at the management action recommendations that come from OPA. And we will look to see if there is a pattern in the MARS of policy violations or a consistent theme that needs to be addressed. We may add our voice to current recommendations to strengthen it, those recommendations that come from OPA. And since the recommendations from OPA are not binding, and perhaps that we add our voices to them, then SPD might take them even more seriously. We may also recommend that additional policy changes be made. We're developing a criteria for the management action reviews that we will analyze, and we will come back to the commission in the next meeting for your input for that criteria. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Thank you so much, Dr. Hunter. Community engagement. Let's see, Felicia, are you on the call?
I saw that. I thought she had left. I saw it there one time. It looked like she left. I don't know. She went to a session went to some, or not, you know, but I didn't see where she came back or not.
She did. Let me, I think we just need to update her promotion to panelist.
I just sent the promote to panelist. It may just be a second for her to accept that.
Yeah, she's rejoining now, everyone.
Great. So, hey, Felicia, if you're able to unmute, we're doing work group updates and would love any update from the community engagement work group.
Thank you for the opportunity. Actually, Director Grant actually gave a great overview. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, she gave a great overview of where we are with the community engagement as far as what we're working on with the monitoring team. So I have actually nothing else to add.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
State legislative agenda. So Nia or Shailene, or I guess Austin, you're on meeting.
Oh, well, I would totally defer to Esther Lucero on this, but we've had a couple of, Nia and I had met, and then we were finally able to all meet as a work group. So it'll be me and Esther, and then if anybody else wants to join, that would be fantastic. But yeah, just talking about getting, we set a timeline to get legislative priorities generated, and we're looking at potentially both supporting legislation and looking at requesting a few funding provisos. So we're trying to get a document together to present to the commission in January. If Esther wants to add anything else, she's the legislative expert. So
I'm not the legislative expert, but I think it's fun work. So the other thing we discussed, Austin, is making sure that we review key committees, task forces that the CPC should have representation on. I have to tell you, it was a really effective meeting. I love working with Austin, and Nia is amazing. So she was able to produce some legislation that we should keep an eye on and actually have an opinion on. So our plan is to come up with our legislative priorities, our options for those, and then run it by the entire CPC, and then we'll move forward with our agenda.
That's great. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a really interesting session. Can you remind me when the legislative agenda work group meets?
So we will have a meeting this Friday at 10 a.m. and after that we will be meeting Thursdays from 3 to 4 p.m.
Cool.
I will also note that we really have to do this work pretty quickly because budget session is coming up early next year, and so I just want to let folks know the urgency of doing the work.
I know I would love to attend the state legislative agenda work group on Friday if I am able. So Nia or Shailene, I'll follow up with you to try to get the Zoom link.
I'll make sure it gets to you, Douglas.
Okay, thank you. Ron, I see you have your hand raised. I think you're on mute, Ron.
Yes, and this is directed to Ms. Franco. Nia, have you or any of the group formed any preliminary expectations as to what will be the main thrust of the upcoming session? It's a short session, so will it be mostly devoted to correcting some of the nits and glitches in legislation that was passed in the last session, which was pretty expansive, or have you formulated any thoughts in that regard?
So the meeting we had last week, we discussed kind of both of those things. So there were, excuse me, there were a few, sorry, sorry about that. There were a few pieces of legislation from last year that we supported that got kind of watered down through the legislative process. So there are some pieces of legislation that we're looking to kind of re-push for some of those key aspects that we really appreciated last year. There are also some pieces of legislation that are being newly introduced that we are also looking at as well. So it'll be a combination of both of those things.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
And I also just want to flag that Catherine took the time and graciously put together a list of when all the work groups meet and like a little descriptor of what they do. So I encourage folks to check out that list and see where you can get plugged in to being on a work group. So the next work group update is complaint and appeals.
I can do a quick update for that. We had a meeting scheduled, but unfortunately we were not able to maintain that meeting. So at this point we are looking to reschedule. It'd be great before the end of the month, but if not, at the top of the year.
Thanks, Nia. And I think I sent an email around about this, like we're replying all to Nia's email, but I just really encourage folks to who are signed up to be a part of that work group to attend and try to get something on the calendar. I think there may be some issues with like us not having the right emails for folks. So if you're involved in the complaint and appeals work group, or you'd like to be, and you haven't been getting, emails from Nia, if you could just please reach out to her or me or one of the co-chairs, and we'll make sure that we get you plugged in, because we really need that work to move forward. We're I think legislatively mandated to do that work, and so it's just really important that we can at least get it off the ground, and staff will be there to support you every step of the way. Okay, so I think that's all of our work group updates. So unless there's anything else or anything I'm missing, I think we may wrap up early on this final 2021 CPC meeting. So I'll turn it to Brandy.
Thanks, Douglas. I just want to say real quick before we wrap up the meeting, I want to thank the full commission for all the work that you all have done for 2021. We couldn't have done this work without you all. I'm so appreciative of all of you, and happy holidays to you all. And I wish you well. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you too.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Holidays.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Happy